to 7, you thought it worthwhile and warranted to place this in Deputy Fletch's personnel file, sort of an attaboy for a job well done, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let me have this marked as Exhibit 5, please. Sir, if you could take a quick look and tell me if you recognize this.
Yes, sir.
Great. And just to quickly summarize, this is a legal citation that you gave to, well, I can't tell what unit it was, but there was a unit that, of which Scott Fletch was a member, correct? And this was in July of 2008. So would it be fair to say, sir, that and at this point as well, that Deputy Fletch's conduct and behavior was consistent with Sheriff's Department policy, and in fact was exceeding expectations?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, if I move a little bit more quickly, I won't take up much of your time. Have this marked as 6. And my question to you, sir, once you have that exhibit in hand, is if you recognize that document.
Yes.
And this signature, I'm sorry, this document, there's your signature at the bottom right?
Yes, sir.
As did exhibits 4 and 5, I believe, the previous 2 exhibits?
I'm sorry.
The previous two exhibits also bear your signature? The 2 previous exhibits also bear your signature?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. And this, if I may summarize, is a certificate of recognition dated May 2010 for being nominated Deputy of the Quarter for the first quarter of 2010, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, how many, at that time, 2010, how many deputies did you have under your command?
Approximately 450.
Okay. So, of that 450, Mr. Fletch, or Deputy Fletch at the time, was the only one to receive, well, how many deputies were nominated at the time for Officer of the Quarter in that time period, 2010?
Usually not 4.
4. So he was,
Sometimes 5.
okay, so only 5 out of 450 approximately received that honor.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Fletch was one.
Yes, sir.
So obviously he was performing admirably.
Yes.
And that was about 5 months before the events of December 5th, 2010, correct?
Yes, sir.
7 months, I'm sorry, 7 months. So, we're up, according to that document, we're up to May 2010. If my math is correct, and there's no reason to suspect that it will be, Deputy Fletch had been with the agency for 3.5 years at that point, correct?
Yes, sir.
At any point during that period of time, he ever displayed any behavior that gave you any suggestion that he was a danger to himself or others?
Not that I recall.
Did he give you any indication at all that you observed yourself or that you heard from your command staff that Deputy Fletch was not following Sheriff's Office policy?
Not that I recall.
Or that he was drinking to excess on or off duty?
Not that I recall.
Or that he was engaging in any conduct at all that might serve to embarrass the agency whatsoever?
Not that I recall.
Okay, so would it be fair to say that Deputy Fletch was on the radar for good reasons?
Yes, sir.
And would it be fair to say that he was considered to be one of the finer deputies in the department?
He was a good deputy.
Okay. Now, you have this marked as Exhibit 7, I believe, I'm on. sir, my question to you is, have you had a chance to look at this document, whether or not you recognize it? You do, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And would it be fair to say, sir, that this is a letter dated October 12, 2010 to Mr. Flesh, Deputy Flesh, commending him for his performance in a seizure of a substantial amount of drugs?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I note this one's not signed by you, yet it's
That
still...
doesn't mean anything. This was just probably sent before I signed it.
Okay. But still made part of his personnel file. And it looks like it attaches an employee performance notice dated September 15, 2010. It looks like it's also related to the seizure of the drugs and Mr. Flesh's involvement. Now, again, this was intended to be an attaboy for Deputy Flesh.
Yes, sir. I received these from supervisors, and when a supervisor takes his time to do one of these, almost in every occasion, I go ahead and follow it with a formal letter.
Okay. So again, here we are 6 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks before the December 5th, 2010 arrest. At this time, October 12th, 2010, Mr. Flesh, Deputy Flesh, Bill was held in the car by you, I take it, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that's despite the checkered background, as I believe someone put it, that he had prior to joining the sheriff's office.
Yes, sir.
Now, we have this one marked as Exhibit 8. And sir, when you're ready, the question is if you recognize. You do, sir?
Yes, sir.
Great. And this is a November 4, 2010 letter to Robert, Mr. and Mrs. Robert R. Vegas, maybe, V-A-I-G-A-S, regarding Mr. Flesh's involvement in dealing with their stolen car. And again, this was an attaboy for Deputy Flesh for handling a stolen car situation with tact and professionalism. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And going an extra mile of taking the complainants home after the car was stolen, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're up to about a month before the December 25th, 2010 arrest occurred. Still, nothing at all on the radar that suggested that Deputy Flesh had a problem at all with drinking, with bad behavior, with failure to follow policy, or anything of the kind, correct?
No, sir, not that I recall.
And nothing to suggest that any of the checkered events in his past were coming back to haunt, correct?
No, not that time.
Now, let's talk about the events that occurred pertaining to Mr. Flesh prior to his joining the sheriff's office. We agree he joined the sheriff's office in about 2006. Is that what you said? Okay. Now, at the time Mr. Flesh applied for the sheriff's department, he was required to fill an application, correct?
Yes, sir.
And on that application, he was required to disclose any type of arrest or criminal history he had in the past, yes?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Flesh did that, didn't he? And yes?
Yes,
And he did that accurately, correctly?
that's my knowledge.
You had no information he left anything out. And so, as part of that, because the application asked those questions, were those instances investigated by some aspect of the Sheriff's Department, some background search asset that the Sheriff's Department uses to vet candidates for positions?
Yes, I will.
And their assignment would have been to get all the paperwork, the police reports, the court docket, the disposition of the proceedings and all that, correct?